Minister Bilous, the Minister of Economic Development and Trade, Her Worship Mayor Blake, Jennifer McManus with the Canadian Red Cross, Bryce Kumka from the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce, and following their remarks, we'll field questions from the floor and also by phone, and for people who are joining us by live stream. And when we do that, I'll just ask that you identify yourself by your name and the outlet you're asking questions with. But without any further ado, Minister Bilous.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Premier Rachel Notley and the Government of Alberta, thank you for joining us. It's a great pleasure for me to be back here in Fort McMurray alongside Her Worship, Melissa Blake, members of her council that have joined us as well, my colleague, Minister Christina Gray, Jennifer McManus and Melanie Solaire with the Canadian Red Cross, and Bryce Kumka with the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce, as well as many citizens and small business owners from the city. And I also want to acknowledge one of our local MLAs, MLA Tani Yao, who's the MLA for Fort McMurray Wood Buffalo. In the face of one of our country's largest natural disasters and subsequent evacuation of the city, small businesses in the region have hit hard times. In fact, some businesses have either been destroyed or damaged, while others have been severely impacted and are still experiencing significant interruptions. It's estimated that as many as 4,000 businesses in the region have been affected by the wildfire and subsequent evacuation. Those same small businesses are showing incredible resilience and taking the lead in helping rebuild their city. I met with many of them 2 weeks ago at their places of work and in a round table hosted by the municipality, and I was joined by Her Worship Mayor Blake and Councillor Tatum, wherever Councillor Tatum is in the room. Thank you. Their determination and commitment to supporting each other has convinced me they are working together to come back stronger than ever. Small businesses are essential to Fort McMurray's fire recovery, and that's why the Mayor, the Red Cross, and I wanted to listen to them about the best way we can help them throughout the recovery process. Our number one priority is to work together so local business owners and employers have access to the services and programs they need to reestablish their operations and support their employees. 2 weeks ago, I was here to tour the Back to Business Resource Centre, which we provided funding to the municipality to operate. It's an amazing resource centre that provides employers with dedicated support and expertise that is now fully operational. I also met with many local business owners to discuss their needs and get the full picture of the situation they face. And I witnessed firsthand the strong local leadership and overwhelming support from across Alberta, Canada, and internationally that will help the region rebuild stronger than ever. As government, we understand the urgency for small business owners and employers in the region to have access to support programs and services quickly, which brings me to today's announcement. Last week, Minister Larrivee announced our government's contribution to helping the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo recover from the devastating wildfires, as well as 3 areas of focus it will be directed to. One of these areas of focus is to provide relief for small business owners who need assistance recovering financially. Today, I'm pleased to provide additional details and announce that through an agreement between the Government of Alberta, the Government of Canada, the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, and the Canadian Red Cross, 2 streams of financial assistance will be made available to small businesses that need it most. Starting in September, small businesses will be able to apply for up to $20,000 to cover costs like equipment, cleanup costs, and rebuilding. In addition to this program, the municipality will also provide support for wages and labor assistance. Eligible small businesses will include those that have 50 workers or fewer and intend to resume operating here in the region of Fort McMurray, the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo, by the end of the year. These supports reflect the feedback all levels of government and the Canadian Red Cross have received from the business community in the area. I'm confident these programs will provide the proactive approach needed to support small and medium-sized businesses in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo, and will play an important role in supporting economic recovery in the short, medium, and long term. Small businesses in Fort McMurray will get back on their feet. They will rebuild stronger than ever, and they will continue to play a critical role in the economic recovery and ensure the economic success of our province. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Bilous. Mayor Blake.
Well, thank you, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of my council colleagues in the region of Wood Buffalo, and delighted to be here today as we announce such a positive advancement for our local business community. We're in traditional Treaty 8 territory, and of course, I warmly acknowledge our First Nations and their descendants. But the first thing I'd like to do is take a moment just to acknowledge our wonderful guests who are here today. This is kind of a small space, but it's filled with incredible people, and I can look around the room and feel very pleased with the crowd that's here today. First, I'd like to thank my council colleagues for joining me today. I've got Councillors Keith McGrath, Tyron Alt, and Colleen Tatum, and I'm not sure if there's any others tucked away. Apologize if there are. But the reason I give them special acknowledgement is that we couldn't be here this morning without them unanimously supporting this exceptional grant. And I will say that I think that my council colleagues, if I have an analogy that's fitting, is that the economy is like an ocean, and our businesses are certainly the boats that are on the water. The fire created some kind of storm that put them on very choppy waters. And as we're here today, what we know is that this grant program can be a true lifeline to that critical element of our community. I also want to acknowledge is something in my notes, I said it, but I believe it truly, is the visionary minister, Deron Bilous. We've been working for quite a while, since probably about week 1 after the evacuation, on the essence of local business and the importance of their inclusion in everything that would be happening post-fire. So we thank him and the government of Alberta for their support, not only in being here today with the announcement, for really getting the ball rolling in the first place. The ever-appreciated Jennifer McManus from the Red Cross, Alberta's Vice President for the Red Cross, and the incredible host or army of volunteers that they have, as well as the staff that are there as well. And I will say on my list of acknowledgements for people in the room, last but never least, would be Bryce Kumka, the President of the Fort McMurray Chamber of Commerce. Amongst today's announcement, we've all learned that the RMWB, of course, has allocated that $15 million towards Wood Buffalo's vibrant small and medium-sized business community. This funding will be contributed to labor assistance and wage supplementation. Something distinct and different, I think, from the other contributors that are a part of that, because we recognize, again, some of the challenges that we've been overcoming and where we need to go into the future requires that very specialized focus. When strategizing how funding we best utilize, the municipality had met the need that had been identified by a number of our small and medium-sized businesses utilizing the business hotline, and confirmed, of course, with person-to-person discussions with our stakeholders. We want our region's entrepreneurs and businesses to thrive. By listening to our business community, it was determined that the $15 million that's been allocated would have the greatest impact if it was used to support labor assistance and wage supplementation. So when I say that I'm actually overjoyed that the grant funding is available to those very worthy businesses, I believe it's a fundamental part of a region's rebuild, and I know just how much it's going to help and be greatly appreciated by those who need it. I also want to thank, again, the members of that very resilient business community for their continuous commitment, being the backbone of our region, and for moving forward with optimism. Understandably, there are so very many elements of the rebuild of Wood Buffalo, and of course I want to thank everyone for their continued patience during this time, because it really is a true reminder of how we are all in this together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Blake. Ms. McManus.
Thank you. I am pleased to be here in Fort McMurray today. I bring greetings from Treaty 7 and acknowledge safe passage to Treaty 8. Thank you for joining us, Minister Bilous, Minister Gray, Mayor Blake, and Mr. Kumka for an important announcement. Experience has shown that small businesses are part of the fabric that is critical to providing services to assist with the full recovery of people affected by a disaster. It is important for Fort McMurray area to build back strong. And as you've already heard this morning, small businesses have a very important role to play in making that happen. As announced last week, thanks to the generosity of donations received from people across the entire country, coast to coast to coast, in addition to matching funds from the Government of Canada, the Government of Alberta, the Red Cross has been able to allocate the following: $4.5 million for the small business hotline and the initial emergency assistance for small businesses, plus an additional $25.5 million to support small businesses in their recovery efforts. As you have heard, these funds will enable eligible small business owners in the community, sole proprietors, and trades to receive the financial support of up to $20,000 in a phased approach to assist with their recovery. These funds can help with things such as uninsured losses, deductibles, equipment, property damage, and cleanup. Additional information will be available in the coming weeks on redcross.ca/Alberta Fires Business. We will work closely with all partners to have the Support to Small Business Recovery Program up and running by September. This collective effort will better ensure that the needs and the priorities of small businesses will be addressed in this critical stage of recovery. We know as an organization it takes a long time and much effort to rebuild a community after a disaster. The Red Cross is committed to being in this region throughout recovery, and we will continue to be responsive to the needs as they emerge over time. Please know that our first priority as the Red Cross will always be to help meet the urgent unmet needs of the people affected by this disaster. We are very proud to be part of this community. The Red Cross will be here to help you as you rebuild your lives, your businesses, and your community spirit. Thank you on behalf of the Canadian Red Cross.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kumka and Ms. McManus and Mr. Kumka.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank all levels of government that have worked collaboratively in this effort. It was not that long ago that we were all faced with a significant event that put us all in a position of significant hardship. It was nice to see that the provincial government was able to bring together a group of stakeholders very early on, meeting with St. Edmonton Minister Bilous and Ms. Laverty were very open to listening to our challenges as small business in our community, and they've gone with that in our request for some assistance and put together a pretty historic collaboration between the federal, provincial, municipal government using the Red Cross as a catalyst to make this all possible. And as previously has been said, the small businesses in our community are kind of the central core that hold a lot of things together, because a community without business support services available to them isn't much of a community at all. So it's really nice to see that there's support for not only the people of Fort McMurray, but the businesses that work within it. So I'm very pleased to thank all the people that were involved. We put together a proposal that was supported by 15 business associations within the region, and that's the need has been answered with this program, and thank you very much for that. Thank you very much.